welcome back to my corner of the internet. I'm Shannon, and today I've got another book talk video to share with you guys. And today we're talking about Writers and Lovers by Lily King. I ordered this book kind of on a whim. I was just browsing around Amazon, came across it, loved the cover, loved the title, read the blurb. It sounded like something I'd like, and so I just ordered it. And I was right. I absolutely loved this book. This is one of those books that as a writer, you read it, or at least for me as a writer, I read it and wished I had written it myself. It's a book that is very simple in premise and plot, but is very complex in terms of the feelings and emotions that are happening within it. The book's about a girl named Casey. She's 31 years old. And she's suffering through the loss of her mother, the sudden loss of her mother. Her mother went on a little trip with a friend, and she passes away while on the trip. She was in seemingly good health. And Casey's very confused as to what went wrong. The official cause of death, I believe, is cardiac arrest, but Casey, she longs for more information than that. And whenever she asks the woman who was with her mother for information, for details about what happened, she just kind of gets the same vague details. And there's a part where she says she wishes that her mother could tell her how she died. And that line really got to me. And as anyone who has gone through a profound loss knows, grief is a very difficult thing. It's something I love to read about and watch movies about because I feel like it's one of those universal feelings. We all deal with it differently, but it's something we all have to go through at some point or another in our lives. And at one point there's a part where Casey is having a good day and she wants to call her mom, and in her mind she does the math of the time differences because her mom would have lived in Arizona. She's doing the time difference. She's like, oh great, it's noon there, it's not too early, not too late. And then she has the sudden realization, like, oh right, she died. Just that punch to the gut you get every time you remember, and yeah, I love, as funny as that sounds, I love the parts in this book that are about grief. It's also a love story, a complicated love story, and a bit of a love triangle. Casey, as she's going through her life, first of all, she's a writer. She's working on a novel. She's been working on it for quite some time, and she's living in the garage of a friend of her brother's, and she's working at a restaurant, and things aren't going the greatest for her, but she's working on this book and she's getting closer and closer to finishing it. And we get to see that throughout the course of the book, the progress she's making, and we get to celebrate with her when she finishes it. And sometimes, normally I'm pretty down for a book about a writer writing a novel. Stephen King often touches on that in his books, and I love when he does. There have been other instances where it's a little, I don't know, with other authors, and I didn't love that whole writer writing a book angle, but I love it when Stephen King does it, and I loved it in this. But like I said, also a love story. She meets two men. One is about her age. He's a teacher, but also a writer. His name is Silas. He's very free-spirited, I guess you'd say, maybe. He's more at the same stage of life that she is. He's also suffered a loss, his sister, so they first kind of connect on that. That's a thing they have in common, that loss, and it connects them. He also has a chipped front tooth that she really likes, and she mentions it a few times, and I love that detail in the book. Then there's another writer. His name is Oscar. Yes, Oscar. He's a writer as well. He's put out, I think, 3 novels, and he's also suffered a loss. His wife died, and he has 2 small children, and she falls in love with him and his children. There's one part where she says, other people's families are my weakness. So I think that's what she falls in love with, kind of the 3 of them as a unit, more so than just Oscar himself. Because a lot of times when we see them interacting and whatnot, they're not as compatible as Silas and Casey seem to be. But she's just in love with him and these boys, and so initially, you know, she tries to give that a chance. So now's pretty well the time to click away if you don't want to hear any spoilers. I've been trying to kind of avoid it and just give a overview because, like I said, there's not a ton of plot. This is a character-driven story, and those are my favorites. 9 times out of 10, I'll love a character-driven story, and this is definitely that. There's not a lot. This happened, and this happened, and this happened. No, it's the people. And so she explores relationships with both of these men, basically. And then as time goes on, we're into the spoilers now, she realizes that Oscar isn't the right fit for her. And because he's wanting to move things too fast. Like, he wants a wife and a mother for his children. He wants her to move in right away. And I think she sort of realizes that before things get too serious, especially where these children are concerned, she's got to get out of there. And she notices some behaviors in him that she doesn't love. Like, he wants everyone's attention on him. So there's one point where he goes out of town for a few days, and she stays with the kids because the kids love her, she loves them. And when he gets back, the kids are so excited, telling him about what they did and just what the great time they had with Casey. And Oscar reacts really strangely to that. He's really off-put by it, and he begins to act cold and withholding from them because he's jealous that their affections and attentions are on Casey. It's definitely messy and a little dark. So she decides that, you know, now is not the right time to be in this kind of relationship, and she doesn't want the kids to get too attached to her. So she kind of shifts her focus back to Silas, which she always really liked him. It's not, you know, it's not like now he's second best. It was more just trying to discover who is the best choice for her. And she ends up getting a job as an English teacher at a high school, and he works at a neighboring high school, and she ends up seeing him because there's like a field trip, and he ends up with some students at her school, and they reconnect. And at first she's kind of like, you want to do something sometime, and he straight up says no. He doesn't want to get tangled in her ropes, is how he words it, because you know, she went on a few dates with him and then stopped returning his calls because she was focused on Oscar. But eventually she gets him to open back up to her, and that's sort of where it ends, with them exploring their relationship together. There's one sentence in this that I loved so much, and there's many. Lily King is a beautiful writer. This is a beautiful book, beautifully written. And there's one part where she talks throughout the book about her anxiety sort of feeling like bees inside of her body. And one particularly good day when everything seems to be going right, because, you know, she gets the book, she gets an agent, they're having a bidding war, the publishing houses over who's going to publish the book. Her agent asks her, you know, what's the magic number, the dream number in your head that you want them to advance you with? And eventually the agent tells her, you know, we crossed it, we got more than that, and she, you know, things are going well in pretty much every aspect of her life in that moment. And she says, in that moment, the bees turn to honey. And that is such a beautiful way to describe that feeling of everything calming down under your skin. I just loved that. The bees turned to honey. Loved it. And the ending is beautiful. It's beautiful. I shed a tear when I finished the book. I was sad when I was done with it because I was done with it. You know those books that you wish you finished it and you're like, I wish I hadn't read this yet so I could read it. I got those feelings with this book. It's beautiful. I loved it. 2 enthusiastic thumbs up. Would recommend. It's great. Anyway, you guys, I know this is a little bit of a different book talk, but like I said, there's not a lot of plot to plow through. More just feelings and ideas and just beautiful, beautiful writing. So yeah, let me know down below if you've read this book, what you thought of it, and I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I will see you later this weekend with some more chapters of Emily of New Moon. Bye guys.